One of my favorite features of Microsoft Excel is conditional formatting. It's a quick and easy way to make numbers stand out. You can visually tell the difference more than just looking at 2, 3, 4-digit numbers, whatever your scale is. And so here we're going to look at how we can use conditional formatting to help make some visual sense of our data. So here we have fake survey data. Column A, we have the names of people who filled out our pretend survey. We've got 100 people. And across row 1, we have different brands of cars. So Mercedes, GMC, Land Rover. Hypothetically, each of these people went through and they rated each of these brands of cars from 1 to 100, 1 being the worst, 100 being the best. So again, this is all pseudo-randomly generated data. This does not actually reflect people's real opinions on these car brands, but this is going to serve our purpose as well because we've got tons of data. You look at this spreadsheet, we've got tons of columns, tons of rows. Like, how do we just make sense of this data? Now, we can summarize the data using functions. That can be very useful. But we can also use colors to make things pop out a little bit more. So we are going to first select all of our survey response data. So I'm going to select cell B2, and I'm going to hold Shift, tap End, tap down. It's going to go to the end of my survey. I'm holding down the Shift key. I can tap End, tap Right, and Excel is going to go to the very last column that has data in it. That's the quickest way to select all the data. Otherwise, I would recommend navigating to the very bottom right. Just hold down the left mouse button, select up, drag up to the top left. 2 ways of selecting the data. Again, I don't recommend selecting from cell B2 down because then you can overshoot, sometimes by a lot. And if you go right, sometimes you can overshoot by a lot. I did okay there, but you probably know what I'm talking about if you've worked with a lot of data before. Okay, so we're on the Home tab. Let's look at this conditional formatting. There's a few different conditional formats I could apply here. I'm going to use the color scales. The green, yellow, red color scales. So it's the first one at the top left under color scales. So I click that. All of a sudden, Microsoft Excel is going to change the format, the color format of all of these cells based off the value that's in them. So Excel automatically determines the range of values I have. So I've got the minimum is going to be 0, the maximum is going to be 100, but I might not even have 100 here. Looks like I've got a 92. So you can see the 0 is going to be dark red. The 90s to 100s is going to be dark green. Orange and yellow will be in the middle. So if I change one of these values, so if I change this 15 to 95, that background is automatically going to be updated based off of that conditional formatting rule. So why does this matter? Well, just looking at the colors, it's easier for me to see which brands are standing out. So I can see here, Acura, lots of dark red. People in this fake survey did not like Acura very much, but I can see Land Rover. People seem to like Land Rover quite a bit more, and maybe Jensen also. So just applying some colors here lets me see some patterns in the data, which is fantastic. So the colors will allow us to see those trends. Now we've got a column here, the average, we can say equals average, hit the up arrow key and up, and hit the down arrow key once because I don't want that header. Calculate the average for each of these cars. So I'm just going to drag this to the right, trying not to overshoot. And the average is computed just great. But it's just real plain boring now. I like all these other colors I've gotten here. So let's look at the task, what it wants us to do. So we want to select those averages, then we'll do conditional formatting. Icon sets 3 symbols. Okay, we will have to create some rules. So I'm going to select these averages, Shift and Right. we'll select all of those. So I'll do conditional formatting, icon sets. Ooh, which one did it tell me to do? I think it was the shapes. 3 symbols. I think it was the 3 symbols it wants us to do. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. Now you can see automatically Excel is putting in these symbols. Again, it's based off the ranges. So anything high will have the green check mark, anything low will have the red X, and anything in the middle will have that kind of green, or sorry, that yellow warning sign. But maybe, so Excel, it determined these cutoffs for us automatically. Maybe I want a different scale. So let's look at these rules. So we're going to click conditional formatting and manage rules. So make sure your text box is not selected. Conditional formatting, manage rules. And I can see, because I clicked on one of the cells that has the survey data, it pulled up the rule for this survey. So show formatting rules for a current selection. Let's look at this worksheet. So I've got 2 rules, one for my survey data, one for my averages. So I want to edit this rule. Okay, so it's telling me I'm using an icon set, and this is what Excel determined for me. So the top third would be the green check mark, the middle third would be the yellow exclamation point, and the bottom third would be the red X. So we want to change that. So we want to change the rule to show a green check mark when the value so we want the number, not the percent. So we're just looking at the raw number. So when the value is greater than 40, we want it to be a green check mark. And a 10 will be a yellow exclamation point, and less than 10 will be red. So it could be whatever cutoffs you determine that would be appropriate here, but I'm going to click OK. OK and OK. So let's come down here and let's see if it worked. Okay, so I've got everything greater than or equal to 40 should be green check mark, and it looks like that is. Everything greater than 10 but less than 40 will be the exclamation point, greater than or equal to 10, I should say. And everything less than 10 will be a red X. So that's good for us. This is our custom property that we're applying. Just could help you quickly make sense of this data. So the rules are very flexible. Okay. Now let's go to our dashboard, because we have more to do here. All right, let's create a lookup function to find the average consumer rating for each brand. So see if you can do that on your own. How am I going to look that up? It's going to be VLOOKUP or HLOOKUP, and the answer is HLOOKUP, because the lookup value, Acura, we are going to go to our survey data, and we're going to look that up across row 1. So I'm going to use Shift and down. And I want to make sure that I include the average here, because we're looking up the brand, and we want to return row 102. And I'm going to hit F4 to make that an absolute reference, comma, so the row index number will be 102, big lookup table. And the range lookup should be false, because I want to exactly match the brand name. So Acura's rating was pretty low, 5.4. So we remember that previously in Dodge was low. He was good. We had a few that were good. Yeah, Land Rover, which we called out before, was decent. Okay, now let's go ahead and format this to make it make more sense. So we're going to click the Home tab. We're already there. Conditional formatting. Let's use data bars, and we're going to go for blue data bars. I like the gradient one. You can, if you hover over it, it'll just show you. That's one nice thing. You can kind of preview what's happening. I like that one. So this adds a visual element behind the number in this column. Like we could shrink this. Those bars are going to shrink, but it's nice to have something kind of big. I mean, we could move these numbers to the left. It's going to be overlapping with our bars a little bit. So it's kind of whatever you prefer. On the right, it's going to overlap less with these bars. Okay, now let's see. If we sort this data, that might also help us make more sense. So I can come to data, sort A to Z or Z to A, whichever one we want. And automatically, well, the bars are going to stay with the data elements. And every time, if we updated this, like I said, 55, you know, it would adjust. I'm going to Control Z, undo that. So just know, like that graph, that kind of mini bar chart here with conditional formatting is being driven by the data in the cell, which is nice. This conditional formatting is a good tool for adding some visual elements to your spreadsheet to help you understand the data and make sense of it quicker. So I can quickly see a comparison between these brands. So I don't have to read the value here to know that people loved Volvo way more than they like Toyota. I can look at that just by comparing the length of these bars here with the conditional formatting. So experiment with conditional formatting. It's super powerful, quick way to add really good graphics to your spreadsheet.